Sometimes that shark, he looks right into you, right into your eyes. You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming.
Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Clayton Furita here with another Dragon Curve video, this time on Jaws. So today I want to talk about an abandoned sequel to Jaws, the original Jaws from 1975, that sadly never got made. For those of you who may be unaware, when Steven Spielberg's shark movie came out, it grossed more money than literally like any other film ever made at the time of release, and it was historically the first movie to ever make more than $100 million at the box office. It was also a very well-loved story that had both film critics and audiences super happy with the final product. This was, however, followed up with a few less than stellar continuations of the original work, with Jaws 2, Jaws 3D, and Jaws Revenge all being recognized as just not being able to capture the magic of that first movie ever again. Now, with that being said, there actually was another Jaws movie from the mind of Steven Spielberg himself that could have changed all of that had it actually been made. What I'm talking about here is the unmade prequel to the original film that would have explored an entirely different plot than anything we got in the later movies. The story goes that when Jaws 2 was being made, the movie was actually undergoing a lot of problems in the middle of production. This includes the director of the movie actually leaving the film after only shooting for about a month. This led to a phone call that would be received by Universal Studios executives Richard D. Zanuck and David Brown soon after. And that call was from none other than Steven Spielberg himself. You see, the director had heard of the problems Jaws 2 was facing and felt a responsibility to both the Jaws franchise as well as the movie studio itself. He didn't want the shark series to get watered down or dip in quality once he left, and felt sympathetic to the issues that the production of Jaws 2 were actually facing. What followed was a deal made between both of these executive producers and Steven Spielberg for a renegotiation that would have the director return to the Jaws series in order to help it. And Steven would then spend the preceding weekend of July 4th, 1977, coming up with a new idea. When Steven returned, he pitched a story for the movie that centered around Captain Quint from the first film, one that would take place during the real-life events of the USS Indianapolis that sunk in 1945. Now, this story was actually alluded to audiences by Quint himself in the original Jaws as having taken place in his past, and it actually would have helped explain his hunting of sharks, given we would have seen the deaths of several of his fellow sailors being carried out by not just one, but several different types of sharks that were feeding on the men after their ship had begun to sink.
Didn't see the first shark for about half an hour. Tiger, 13-footer, you know that when you're in the water, Chief. You tell by looking from the dorsal to the tail. Well, we didn't know.
Unfortunately, Universal Studios decided that they just simply couldn't wait another full year for Spielberg to be free again and able to work on this movie. He was, at the time, still finishing up Close Encounters of the Third Kind and couldn't commit to this Jaws sequel until after he had wrapped up that movie. So what eventually went down was the continuation of work on Jaws 2, which eventually got released and showed audiences a story that was more or less a rehash of the first film, only this time featuring a lot of teens on sailboats getting killed by a new great white shark in a very Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees sort of fashion. This would ultimately lead to Steven Spielberg feeling kind of burned by sequels to his movies that he wasn't in control of. In a 1997 Time magazine for The Lost World, which I happen to be lucky enough to own, Kathleen Kennedy actually explained the director's thoughts pretty well in just a single sentence, saying, "Steven still harbors a bit of regret about the way Jaws 2 and Jaws 3 turned out," which probably explains why he's always kept himself on the Jurassic Park sequels in creative control and with complete authority over both who gets to direct those movies as well as what the actual stories will be themselves. Now, of course, unfortunately, this follow-up to the original Jaws Jaws was never made, and we will more than likely never get to see it. But man, in my own personal opinion, I just want to say that I think this could have been one of the most interesting and entertaining sequels to any Steven Spielberg story ever told. What I think the Jaws sequels kind of forgot to hone in on were the importance of these relatable characters that felt normal in comparison to the larger-than-life situations that they always happen to find themselves in. When they went for the safe sequel with Jaws 2, I can't help but feel like they kind of got cold feet in wanting to tell an original story that could set itself apart from the first in a really bold way. Now, I don't personally hate Jaws 2 by any stretch of the imagination, and I actually think it's safe to say that out of all of those sequels, it's probably the best follow-up to the original movie. But still, that continuation, as well as Jaws 3D and Jaws the Revenge, just don't really feel like Jaws movies when you hold them up against the first. Sure, Steven Spielberg hit a few rough spots when he was doing The Lost World, but I'd argue that that film is like leaps and bounds better than Jaws 2 ever was, and Jurassic World, which was critically and financially super successful, as well as Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, have built off of that original Jurassic Park movie in ways that feel both familiar as well as new with what they've given us in regards to human and dinosaur relations, as well as what the wider world looks like post-1993. Jaws 2 just kind of puts Chief Brody in another shark attack situation that feels a bit too much like what we saw the guy do just a few years earlier. And the other two films are just so bizarre and off focus that I don't think anyone ever stopped to ask questions like, when can we film another scene like what Steven did in the first movie? You know, the one where Quint gives us his backstory and explains